Are the 49ers going to make another NFC championship run this season? What's up? Good morning on the West Coast. Good afternoon in Central Time Zone where I am in New Orleans. Cohn, Ryan G, Hensley. Niners took care of business against the Saints yesterday. It's not a great team, but it was a good game. It was a close game. It was kind of a preseason game at times. But you know what? A win's a win. And now the Niners are 2-0. And they just won 2 games on the road. And every time Kyle Shanahan has started the season 2-0 since coaching the 49ers, he has taken this team to the NFC Championship game. So we're going to talk about whether this team is truly a contender or not in a minute. I'm going to have to wait. First, we're going to talk about the brewing quarterback controversy in Santa Clara. It's very controversial. No, let's break it down. Like, what did you see from Mac in this game? And sort of, let's start there. What did you like about Mac Jones?
Well, first, I think I need to acknowledge that Mac Jones is a better person, teammate, and quarterback than I ever had him marked down to be. I didn't like Mac Jones coming out of college, and maybe it was for legitimate reasons. He just seemed to have some off-the-field immaturity issues. That's what I saw coming out of college, but that might be a normal thing for kids his age when he was coming out of college. I just didn't see the leader, and I really didn't want the 49ers to draft him. I didn't think he was going to be that great. His rookie season with the Patriots, he balled out, ended up making the Pro Bowls. There's, a couple of people dropped out, and that had something to do with it, but he still made the Pro Bowl as a rookie. That should have opened a lot of people's eyes. Not saying he's amazing or top 5 or top 10 or anything like that, but the fact that he made a Pro Bowl as a rookie should have said something. Then he struggled. He did well with McDaniels, struggled after that. Now here with the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan, I think he's found an offense that really works in his favor. And if the 49ers could improve that offensive line somehow, if Brandon Ayuk could come back, George Kittle come back, I mean, I really think Mac Jones could have a lot of success on this team.
I didn't necessarily expect that he would do that well in this game. I mean, yeah, the Saints aren't great, but it's his first start. It's on the road. He didn't look great in the preseason, so I didn't really know what to expect. And I was pleasantly surprised. I thought he saw the field well. I thought his arm was pretty strong, and he was making throws that I haven't seen Niners quarterbacks make in a while. I mean, much stronger arm than Jimmy, stronger arm than Brock. I thought he processed maybe a little slow, like held the ball a little bit longer than you would like. But I thought his accuracy was good. I thought his anticipation was good. I thought his decision-making was really good. I don't think I didn't see him just toss any balls up for grabs, any YOLO balls, the Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy YOLO balls that we've seen over time. Maybe if Mac were to start 40 games for the Niners, he'd start doing that. But in this game, I thought he made really good decisions, protected the football, and led the team. I think you could see that the offense likes playing with Mac Jones.
Yeah, he has good energy out there. He did look a little nervous the first few plays, but after that, man, he just went on a tear. You mentioned his arm strength. You could really tell, like on the long shot where he overthrew the guy. Obviously, you got to get that accurate. But what I noticed is the trajectory of that ball and how quick it came off is just shot off his hand. And the trajectory was different from what we've been seeing from Brock, whereas Brock's deep balls have a little bit of loft on them. Max was more direct. So you could definitely see the difference in arm talent. You also see the difference in mobility. Like Brock is way more mobile. But I think with Mac Jones, man, I'd have to go back and look at the film to see how these receivers are getting open right now. But like a little slow on getting the ball out. But I don't know if these receivers were necessarily wide open either. But I did love watching him play, man. He can air it out, and he's a lot better than I anticipated. So I was wrong on Mac Jones. Somebody tweeted something out, man. It made me just contemplate and think about what if the 49ers just drafted Mac Jones at 12 instead of trading all those picks for Trey Lance. Who knows where they'd be at right now? Who knows if Brock Purdy would even have a career if they did that? But shout out to Mac Jones, man. The 49ers can definitely win some games with him. I think no matter who's the quarterback, Brock or Mac Jones, especially once you get Brandon Ayuk back and George Kittle back, and if this offensive line can start gelling a little bit, I think both quarterbacks could have quite a bit of success this year.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember that Mac Jones is actually more experienced than Brock Purdy. Brock started 37 games in the regular season. Mac has started 50. They've both been to one Pro Bowl. So, yeah, I mean, it was interesting watching a veteran quarterback look like a veteran quarterback. And I think, to me, like, if you were just going to break them down, field vision, maybe I'd give it to Mac. Processing, probably give it to Brock. Decision making, maybe I'd give that one to Mac, at least right now, at least after this one game. Mobility, clearly Brock. I mean, they can go back and forth, but I think what we've seen is a lot of quarterbacks can have success in this system. And Trey Lance, maybe he would have been one of them, but he wasn't. He was a project. There are certain system quarterbacks, and I don't mean it as a pejorative, but guys who can have instant success in this system. Jimmy
Sure.
was one, Brock was two, Mac is three. And it's great to have two quarterbacks who can do that on the same team. They had that in 2023 when they went to the Super Bowl because the Niners aren't particularly good at keeping anyone healthy. And quarterbacks go down. Brock runs around a lot. So I think this is great news to have another quarterback who can win, put up a quarterback rating of 115. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do in this system.
Yeah, I think really if you're a decent quarterback and you can understand Kyle's system, I mean, if Jimmy Garoppolo can have the kind of success that he had in this system, a lot of quarterbacks can have it. And so, Mac Jones is one of those guys. Brock Purdy is one of those guys. The fact that Jimmy had success and then went on to play for the Raiders and look pretty awful says a lot, right? Like this system is very quarterback friendly. Of course, I would love a guy to just put the team on their back and carry them, but you really don't need that. And at times, that actually hurts this team. You just need to take what the defense gives you and stay within the offense, and you'll have success.
And that's sort of I want to come back to like the meta conversation here, the conversation around Brock Purdy. I feel like since he came on the scene and sort of saved him from the Trey Lance mistake, the narrative about him is that he's been covering up for a lot of the Niners' problems, and he's been elevating Kyle and elevating the offense and elevating the offensive line, and the pass protection is trash. But thank God they got Brock Purdy out there making something out of nothing, and Kyle isn't really what he used to be. And I think there was a big expectation that even against the Saints, that Mac was going to look kind of rough and he was going to get sacked and he was going to make a bunch of mistakes. And that didn't happen at all. I think to me, it reinforced my feeling that I'm like probably lower on Kyle than most people, but his system elevates quarterbacks, especially the ones that fit his system, not the other way around. And so Brock Purdy's good and he has a very entertaining style of play, but Kyle is doing more for Brock than Brock is doing for Kyle. And Brock wouldn't necessarily be this successful on freaking New England Patriots. And now we're seeing the same thing with Mac.
Yeah, they were talking about how Mac was going to get ate up because of his lack of mobility. He's a little bit more mobile than I thought, but what you have to do is just get the ball out quick. Now, Mac struggled a little with that, but I mean, if Jimmy Garoppolo can survive in this offense, just getting the ball out quick. I mean, look, here's a perfect example. I mean, Brock does scramble and it's amazing, but it gets him hurt sometimes. He's gotten hurt a couple times by scrambling. Whereas, like, if you look at Tom Brady's career, the reason why he was able to have such a long, lengthy career is he gets the ball out quick or he throws it away, and he's not taking punishment. So if you're a quarterback like Mac Jones, that's the way you have to approach it. And I actually wish Brock Purdy would approach it a little bit more in that regard as well. At least get down and slide and protect yourself and stop taking these hits, because what you want is a long career. And with Kyle Shanahan's offense, as long as you're getting the ball out quick and just, there's always going to be somebody open. It might just be underneath. It might be a dump off. It might be a little dink and dunk, but you can prolong your career and win a lot of games by just taking what the defense gives you in this system.
You mentioned Mac's leadership. It was something I was down on. He didn't seem like a guy who could lead an NFL team coming out of Alabama. But I got to say that yesterday, it seemed like one of the things that his teammates kept talking about with him was the leadership. And I feel like since he's been here, people keep talking about his demeanor, that it's unique and it works. What do people keep saying about him? He's funny. He's he has swag, right? Like the way he dresses, like he comes in these three-piece suits to the game. It's kind of funny, but it's kind of serious. Uh, he's one of the guys. He seems to have relationships with everyone. Did you see who was dancing at the front of the boombox? Now that Debo's gone, it's Trent. And did you see who else?
Was it Demo or was it Mac?
It was Mac, and it was Demo, and it was
Yeah.
Born, but it was Mac there too, and he knew the words, and they were all. I mean, like, I think not to make not to say that one is good and one is bad, but like that's that's a big difference between him and Brock. Brock is very serious. Brock dresses like a math teacher. Brock is extremely rich now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I think that there's something kind of refreshing about Mac. Not that they don't like Brock, because I know they do, but Mac is so different and it's working. Yeah.
This is why I said that I know this is a weird transition, not necessarily a transition, but talking about Jake Moody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mac Jones is kind of in the position that Jake Moody is hoping to find himself in soon.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pressure on Mac Jones being that highly drafted on the Patriots, coming after Tom Brady, supposed to be that guy, didn't work out. And that creates a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. Now he's been, he went to the Jags for a minute. Now he's with the Niners. He doesn't have that same pressure. And I'm sure Jake Moody will. I'm hoping Jake Moody for himself will find that same situation on the Bears or wherever he ends up. But sometimes you just need a fresh start, and I think that's why we're seeing this happy Mac Jones.
Last thing I want to say about this, it kind of reminds me of the career arc for every system quarterback on the Niners under Kyle. Jimmy, Brock, and now Mac. Maybe Mac won't become. I mean, obviously he won't become a starting quarterback here unless Brock's hurt for a long time. But Jimmy, his best games were his first games. His first 5 starts were incredible. Then he got hurt. But I think what happens is he fits the system, and the league doesn't know your tendencies within the system. So it takes him a year or 2 or 3 to figure out where you like to throw, who you want to throw to, what you want to do in certain situations. And by the end, Jimmy Garoppolo the book was out on him, and he was kind of a mistake-prone, injury-prone quarterback. Brock, his best stretch was at the beginning. He lit the league up. People didn't know his tendencies. They didn't know he liked to roll left out of pressure. And now he's starting to struggle with mistakes and injuries, although he's still a good quarterback. Matt comes in, lights it up. No one knows his tendencies, who he likes to throw to, what he wants to do. I wonder what he would look like in 2 years if he were still the quarterback. He might be a mistake-prone, injury-prone quarterback just like the other. I don't know. But right now, it looked good yesterday.
I think he's an excellent backup for the 49ers right now. He's going to have to find a good system. Like if he wants to be a starter somewhere, he's going to have to find a really good coordinator. I still, no offense to him, I don't think he's like that dude. Like I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. That's not my opinion of Mac Jones. But I think you're speaking to a lot of things, right? He's new. There's no film on him. If you look at Brock Purdy in that first game, the defense took away the middle of the field. They forced him, right? Their goal was to stop the run, take away the middle of the field with Brock Purdy, make him throw down the sidelines. And he was able to scrape through and get that W, but he had quite a bit of interceptions in that process. Same thing with Mac Jones, like you just brought up. There's really not a lot of film on Mac in this offense. There's none. So he was able to capitalize and take advantage of that. I really don't think Mac Jones is like, the savior of the 49ers if something happens to Brock, but I think you can have a lot of success with Mac. And, I'm happy for him. I love underdogs. I like seeing people fight their way back and have success. And he might end up becoming a trade piece for the 49ers, if not this year, next year, because they have him in contract for 2 years at like $8.8 million, which is a great contract to have. There's going to be a lot of teams that would love to trade for him at some point, whether it's if he continues, it might even be this year, or it could be this next offseason. So we'll see what happens, but it's good to see the 49ers can have success with Mac Jones.
My last thought on this is the contract. I mean, I was against it before it happened. They pulled it off. It's team friendly. They can get out of it. But as you can see, they have to budget for the future. Like they're not spending their cap space now because they have to roll it over for the next couple of years because they're all trying to make this work into the future. And they might win the Super Bowl this year. I don't know. We'll talk about that. It just seems like it's so difficult to build a super competitive team or a super talented team paying that much money for a quarterback. I mean, the Bengals struggle to do it with Joe Burrow. with Kyle Shanahan, he's able to get such incredible production efficiency out of the Sam Darnolds and Mac Joneses of the world that maybe you're in a unique position to not enter the top tier quarterback market, which is so freaking expensive. Maybe you're in a unique position to trade Jimmy Garoppolo before making him the highest paid player in the league. Trade Jimmy for 4 first round picks or 3 or whatever it would have been in 2018, 2019. Trade Brock instead of, and then have the confidence that Kyle can make it work with the next Sam Darnold or the next Mac Jones. And he may not be the best quarterback in the league, but you're going to put around such a good team around him. It won't matter. But no team has ever had the gumption to do anything like that. And I don't know if they ever will, but it's an option. I just want to throw it out there. You don't have to pay super big money for a quarterback every time. Might work out though.
Yeah, I think with Brock, the quarterback position is more than what you do on the field. It's what you do off the field. It's what you do in the locker room, what you do in practice, how you lead, how you talk to the media. That all plays a part, and Brock is fantastic at all of those things. I think he just became a great story, the face of the franchise, and a solid quarterback in the NFL. I do think, however, whenever you're looking at a Kyle Shanahan quarterback, you can they'd probably get a 5 to 7 bump as far as like rankings, right? Like if you're the 10th best quarterback on the 49ers, you're probably really 15th. But because you're on the 49ers, you get a little bump. I do think Brock is way better than Jimmy. I think he's better than Mac Jones. So, I understand them wanting to go with him, but, it was something we talked about as well. Like, you didn't really have to. You could have made him play out this contract and see if you wanted to save some money. 49ers probably weren't into that. They didn't want the controversy. They didn't want the drama. They just wanted to reward Brock for what he's done and crown him the face of the franchise. And he's really good at that, representing the 49ers, being that guy. But I don't think you're wrong. I don't think that they couldn't have found a quarterback to have a similar success for cheaper. I think that's definitely possible.
And I think a big reason that Brock got the money that he did is because they were so traumatized from the Trey Lance experience. Like, because they drafted Trey Lance thinking, man, anyone can run this system. And they're like, oh, actually, guy needs a little bit of experience. Otherwise, we're going to have to coach and develop. And that's not necessarily what we do. We install the system. And Trey needed more than installation. So, oh my God, Brock saved our heinies. Thank you. And then it's like, oh wait, no, we made Jimmy. We could do it with Mac. We could have done it with Sam. So anyway, it may work out paying him all this money. It's just a lot. And you know what? That was 20 minutes on Brock Purdy and Mac Jones. Thank you for indulging me. Let's talk rookies. Let's go through the rookies and discuss where they stand after 2 games. Starting with Mykel Williams. First game, no stats. Second game, some serious stats. Some tackles for loss, some pressures. Played a lot. What'd you think?
He looked great, man. Obviously, I think if we're talking about things he needs to work on first, you don't see him very effective yet in the pass rush. But as a run stopper, as a presence on that defensive line, he's definitely making an impact. And it's only week 2. First week, I threw it out on Twitter. I was like, did anyone see anything from Mykel Williams? And I wasn't even like trying to criticize him or anything. And a lot of people were jumping on that train. I wasn't trying to criticize him. I just didn't notice him at all in that game. And I wasn't like looking for him specifically. But in this game, same thing. I wasn't looking for him specifically. I'm just watching the game. Usually when I watch the game the first time around, I'm just watching the game and seeing what jumps out at me. I'm not looking for any specifics. But then he jumped out. And then so I started watching him, and he's fantastic against the run, setting the edge. He's tremendous, man. I think
he they really got a
good guy. Yeah.
He's a 21-year-old, 270-pound player who's so stout. I mean, I've never really seen anything like it from that perspective.
Yeah, I think he's got a bright future, man. If he stays healthy and just continues to improve week after week, he's got, a lot of great role models in Fred Warner, Diamador Lenore, Nick Bosa, those kind of guys, Robert Saleh. He's got good people around him. If he just stays healthy and keeps at it, I think he could be tremendous for the 49ers. And being that they would struggle so bad against the run last year, I think it was the perfect pick, really.
Yeah. I what I like about him is he's such a team guy. He's not out there like, he's the antithesis of Chase Young. Chase
Yeah,
Young was all about sacks, would give no effort as a run defender, and was so sold out to get the sack that he would give up, scrambles and then wouldn't chase the play. This guy is never gonna do that. And maybe it'll sacrifice some of his own production and therefore money down the line, but he's gonna do the right thing for his team. How many guys are like that, especially drafted in the top 11? Those guys are usually the prima donnas who are there to get paid. So I really appreciate that. He's making the defense better, and you saw what kind of improvement he made from week 1 to week 2, keeping in mind he didn't play in the preseason. He
yeah,
really reminds me of Eric Armstead, and a smaller one, like 270, not 300, but he can push the pocket like that. He can defend the run from multiple places like that, and, he's a better edge player because Armstead would give you no pressure from the edge, and he was a liability against, like, just containing quarterbacks. Michael can do that stuff, so he's a hell of a player.
yeah. And shout out to Salah. I think picking up Huff was perfect because
Yep.
of where Mikel needs to improve. Huff, that's what he does. Put him on third down and long when you know there's going to be a pass and just send him. So they got Huff for that, and the rest of the time they can have Mikel out there, wreaking havoc on the defense, setting the edge, taking on double teams. I think it was a great pick, and I'm really happy with this 49ers defense and the direction they're going.
Okay, second round pick, Alfred Collins. He didn't play much in week 1, and he looked awful in week 1. He probably was the worst rookie on the field. This week, he, played 34 snaps. He, had 2 tackles, and he seemed better. What'd you think from What'd you see from Alfred Collins? 24 snaps, excuse me, 34%, 24 snaps.
Yeah, I'll be real. After that first week, man, he not in a disrespectful way. I hate to say it, but he was getting kind of punked out there, and I don't mean
Yeah.
that in a disrespectful way to Alfred Collins, but he was getting pushed around. He got just pancaked by I don't know who it was, a running back or a tight end, somebody
Mhm.
pulling across. He struggled in that first game, and I was worried about him. I'm like, man, hopefully this isn't a bad pick. And then in this game, he really has some good moments that is encouraging. I think all these young guys, it's good to remember that they're rookies, and it's going to take them some time to adjust to the game. But I thought Alfred Collins definitely looked a lot better in this game than he did last game.
Yeah, he went from week 1 being a guy who, like, literally couldn't stay on his feet and needed to get off the field to a
Yeah,
guy that's still getting pushed around. Like, he's a big man, and you'd think he should be able to hold his ground. Like, Mykel Williams holds his ground much better than Alfred Collins. Alfred Collins probably has 50 pounds on Mykel Williams, but I think that
mm,
just shows how important technique is. His pad level's high, and he gets moved around like a sled at times, but he's still trending the right direction after 2 games.
yeah. After the first game, I was worried about him. After this one, I'm encouraged. I think that he has potential, so it's something to keep watching. Just got to get that pad level low, and the NFL strength is a lot different from college strength. I think it takes some time to adjust, the length of the season, all of that. So, we always say 2-3 years with rookies, but after 2 games, you're seeing a slight improvement with Alfred Collins. I think that's a good thing. We'll see how he develops. Mykel Williams is a little bit more impressive, for sure, a lot more impressive, I would say, but it was good to see Alfred Collins take a step up from week 1 to week 2.
Yeah, Mykel went from a guy you didn't notice in week 1 to a guy you noticed for the right reasons in week 2. Collins went from a guy you noticed for the wrong reasons in week 1 to a guy you didn't really notice in week 2. Someone said
Yeah,
it's gonna take him a few years like it took Javon Kinlaw. Possible. He does seem like the kinda guy who has a lot of, talent, and he could figure it out week year 3, year 5. But,
right.
year 1, it's gonna be a slow process, I would think. Nick
Yeah.
Martin was, not active again. What do you make of that? I thought he actually was quite promising in the preseason.
Yeah, I think for Salah, having the fact that he has so many rookies, I think plays a part. Also, the fact he brought over Luke Gifford to play the role that he's playing, and he's a great special teams contributor. And if you look at D Winters and his production, him and Fred Warner are tied for 12th with 11 solo tackles. D Winters is playing his ass off. So you got Fred and D Winters, and then I think Salah just kind of chose the reliable, safe choice with Luke Gifford. And he was brought over for that reason. They have a history together. He's good on special teams. So I just think Nick Martin is more of a project. He's more on the D winners trajectory, whereas he'll probably be pretty damn productive and good next year or the year after that. But the 49ers have a ton of great linebackers. They don't really need to rush Nick Martin. I don't think they need that. I don't think there's a weakness when you're looking at the 49ers defense thinking they need somebody else out here to play linebacker and they need Nick Martin. I don't really see that. I think they're doing fantastic at linebacker. They seem to always be doing really well at the linebacker position, no matter since Willis and Bowman. They've been doing a great job at linebacker. Outside of last year, maybe a little bit with what's his face. They walked off the field. Other than that, they've
Yeah,
always
what's
been
his
really
face?
good at linebacker. Yeah, and I think they can afford to be patient with Nick Martin, and that's probably why they are.
I think, yeah, they probably want him to be, like, more on it with his assignments, and I think they want the backups to be, special teams contributors or positive contributors because it's such an emphasis this year, and I don't know that Nick Martin is as good on special teams as Curtis Robinson or Tatum Bethune. But if D Winters were to get injured and miss time, I would imagine that Nick Martin would see the field pretty quickly because I think he'd be perfect in that position and that skill set. I think it just shows how good of a job D Winters is doing right now. He's might be the most improved player on the team right now. I don't know. He's up
Yeah,
there.
yeah, and
Makes you
I
wonder what
think
he
you
could have
could
done
see it
last year if what's his
coming.
face
But
wasn't out there.
yeah, and I think that's the main thing. The main reason why Nick Martin isn't on the field is because he kind of going to play that D Winters role, and D Winters is fantastic. So Nick Martin has to overcome that. He's not really the Mike. So I think that's the issue. Is D Winters is probably in his way, but that doesn't mean that Nick Martin can't really be good in the future, even as soon as next year or later on in this year. From what I saw from Nick Martin, it reminded me of D Winters in his second year. So I'm thrilled with Nick Martin, thrilled with D Winters. It, it, good signs.
Okay, next one, Upton Stout played a whole lot in this game. He's a starting nickel. He blitzed. He might have had a sack. He had a penalty. He
Mhm.
was all over the place. People are testing him. What do you think of Upton Stout?
Encouragement for sure. He's got things to work on, but it's tough, man. When you're a rookie and you're just thrown out there, especially at the nickel. Nickel's one of the hardest positions to play in the NFL. It really is. I mean, corner's hard by itself, but nickel has its own set of challenges. Um, being able to guard a million different types of guys, being able to play like a linebacker at times, be able to blitz, but also be able to drop back into coverage. It's tough. But I like what I see from him. I want to know what you saw from him because he was like one of your favorite players in the training camp.
Well, I thought that he's he's around the action a lot. He had 5 tackles. I thought he was I think he's their second best cornerback after Diamador Lenore. I think he's better than Renardo Green. I think if you're looking for a weak link in the secondary, it's not Upton Stout. And I think that his illegal contact penalty was probably kind of ticky tack. I think he's so sticky in coverage that officials are like, who are you? Who do you think you are, rookie? You shouldn't be this. I mean, I think there's a little bit of that going. I think he's good, and I like the fact that in week 2, Robert Saleh called a blitz for him, and he got there. He was violent when he hit the quarterback. He seems like a pretty violent hitter. I think he's going to make their pass rush better. He's a good player, and he's going to be playing a whole lot.
So what you said to me is key, and I've noticed a pattern. I noticed it with Huff. I saw it with D Winters, and what you just said was he's around the ball a lot. When you're around the ball a lot as a rookie, that's a really good sign. That means once the game slows down for you a little bit through experience and through coaching, you're not going to just be around the ball a lot. You're going to be making more and more plays. So that's what you look for in these young defensive players. You saw it with Hufanga his rookie year. You saw it with D Winters last year, and you saw the improvement from those guys the next year. I would imagine Stout's going to be on that same trajectory.
And one thing I wanted to point out: the Niners didn't use a third linebacker yesterday. They used Stout, and they used some 5-man fronts with times with defensive linemen, and they used Jair Brown in the slot as like a third safety. And I want to talk about that later because I think that's a cool little wrinkle. It's creative. It gets him on the field, and I think it's probably the best way to use him. moving forward, who was the next guy they drafted? CJ West. They don't play him very much. He plays less than Alfred Collins. It's hard to notice him. I mean, it seems like he should probably be playing more based on what he did in preseason, but they're going slow with him, and they're rotating their defensive linemen a lot. What do you think of CJ West so far?
And be real, brother, I didn't notice him at all yesterday, which is weird because I feel like he had a better preseason than Alfred Collins. But I didn't notice him at all yesterday. Did you notice him do anything? I mean, Kalia did
He
Davis.
played
That was
13
good to see.
snaps and
He
didn't
jumped
register
out.
a stat.
Yeah, I didn't notice him at all.
It's
Again, I've only
possible that
watched the
CJ
game one
West is a
time.
bit of like a training camp one-on-one superstar, and that he has a ways to go as like an actual 11-on-11 player against starters, just because of his body type. He's smaller. He doesn't have length.
Is there any type of roster politics at play here? Because if you ask me, CJ West looked more ready to play in the NFL than Alfred Collins. But
That's
being
true,
that
but
Alfred Collins is
if
second,
like Robert Saleh was the one who wanted Alfred Collins, then maybe it would look bad to the front office if he were to change his mind after a week or two and say, actually, CJ CJ West is better. Like, no, 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 no. It's we still believe in Alfred.
yeah. I mean, the good news is, man, they got a young D line with a lot of talent, and they're just going to get better as time goes by. And I love how Robert Saleh is dialing it up right now. So didn't really notice anything from CJ West. But if we're talking rookies, man, what about Connor Colby?
Connor Colby, it might be one of the more important rookies on this team because Ben Barch was never going to make it through a full season. He gets hurt every game almost. No offense, but that's just his pattern. He got hurt again immediately in this game. And more than anything, you need an offensive lineman who can play every snap and not come off the field. And it seems like, well, Colby did that in college at least. And maybe he can sort of solidify the offensive line for now.
Yeah, man, I was really encouraged with Ben Barch based off 1.5 games, and then he got injured. And I'm like, all right, well, once he gets healthy, he'll be good. But I think he's played, if I could be mistaken, but this is just off the top of my head. I think Ben Barch has played 4 games with the 49ers and been injured in 3 of them. I believe that's accurate. And that's not good, brother. Like,
Nope.
I don't know. At this point, man, like,
That's like Josh
here,
Garnett stuff.
yeah, and when Connor Colby came in, I don't know what it was, right? Like the 49ers, Juice got a concussion, left the game. Mac Jones, maybe he just settled in. But then Connor Colby came in for Ben Barch. One of those 3 things, or maybe all of those things combined, that's when the offense started clicking. And it seemed to be a better O-line with Connor Colby out there than it was with Ben Barch. So I'm not sure, but it's encouraging. If I'm the 49ers, I'm probably going to let Connor Colby start this game against Arizona to see what he's like. And, Ben Barch probably can't even play anyways.
I think one thing that surprised a lot of people was the pass protection in this game. I mean, people that were expecting to see just how much Brock had been elevating things with his mobility and escapability were like, oh, well, what a game. What a week for the Niners offensive line to play their best game ever. Like, yeah, maybe that's because they got Connor Colby in there and they have a better player at left guard. I mean, I thought the guy who was kind of scaring me a little bit in this game, at least in the first half, was Pooney. I felt like anytime there was penetration in the backfield, it was his guy.
I think Pooney and Trent are both playing injured right now, and I think you can
True.
see that.
True.
So it's hard to judge both of those guys right now because I don't think they're healthy. I'm hoping that they
That's
find a
fair.
way to become healthy during this season and it doesn't just keep lingering. Sometimes when you play injured, you can't really heal because you're constantly on the field and there's no time to heal. So I don't know. Yeah, Dominic Pooney, he's sophomore season right now, and the sophomore slump is real. I'm hoping that's not the case with him, and it's just an injury that's holding him up. But I really need this offensive line to start clicking, and it's a different situation, right? Like when you are protecting Mac Jones, you have different. It's a different assignment than when you're protecting Brock Purdy, right? With Brock Purdy as a lineman, you got to be prepared for that scramble. He's going to scramble out of there, and you got to keep going. With Mac Jones, you just need to protect him for as long as you can and hope he gets the ball out. So it's a different assignment. And all 5 of these guys, I think the offensive line, more than any other position, they're all dependent on each other. They play as, 5 fingers of the same hand. And so it could improve as they get healthier and as the season goes and they start building that chemistry. But it is going to be different blocking for Mac Jones and blocking for Brock Purdy. That's two different assignments.
True. 3 more rookies. 2 guys who've been inactive, and it kind of grinds my gears. Jordan Watkins, the 2 Jordans. Now, if their
Yeah.
name were Jake, if they were Jake Watkins and Jake James, they'd be playing. They'd be starting. Because you know how Kyle feels about Jakes and Jacobs in general. Well, he doesn't like Jacob. But if your name is Jake, anyway, seriously, what gives here? So you got Kendrick Bourne gets fast-tracked onto the field, and he's I don't know what you thought of Kendrick Bourne, and then Brian Robinson Jr., whose signature move is hesitating. I don't know, man. I'd like to see these rookies at some point now. Me personally.
Yeah, good luck. I don't know if you will. To me, as long as Christian McCaffrey is healthy and why can't I think of the fella's name? As long as Christian
Brian
McCaffrey,
Robinson.
and Robinson Jr. are healthy, I don't think you're going to see Garendo. I don't think you're going to see Jordan
I don't need to
James.
see Grando.
Yeah, I don't think you do.
We saw him on that kick return, man. He could have had it at 35, took it out, got tackled at the 23. Dude.
Yeah, that I will. In defense of Garendo, the turf was slippery. These guys were sliding. They need some different spikes yesterday, I feel like. But I will say that I do want to see Jordan James. And I think with James and Watkins, both of them, is we just didn't get to see much of them. They didn't get much of a training camp. And if you're a rookie on the 49ers and you miss time in training camp, unless you're like a first-round draft pick, good luck seeing the field. I don't think it's going to happen outside of injury. I don't think we're going to be able to see much, which is unfortunate because I have no idea what Jordan James is like. I watched him in college for like 5 minutes, and that's all. I have no idea if he's a dude or not. But I don't know if we're going to be able to find out with Watkins either, because think about it, Brandon Ayuk's coming back. Robinson is coming back as well. So, I mean,
I understand playing them ahead of Jordan
yeah.
Watkins, but Marquez, Valdez, Scantling, that's like a few years ago when they would play Mohamed Sanu or Trent Sherfield over Brandon Ayuk because of age. It's like, shut up. It's like,
Yeah.
That's how I felt about that decision. But of course,
Yeah.
when those 2 guys come back, there won't be. I'm just saying, man. Kendrick Bourne. All right. Last rookie, Marquise Siegel. He's been interesting. He earned a starting job, maybe unexpectedly with his play in preseason. He's a hard hitter. He's constantly around the ball. He's a dog like Upton Stout, but he also has to cover. And although he's right there, he seems to be getting beat at the catch point. Gave up a touchdown and a longer catch. What do you think of Siegel?
Siegel looks like a rookie out there. He looks like a rookie with a lot of potential, but he looks like a rookie. You can tell. So I'm excited for Malik to come back. I like Siegel. I would like it to be Siegel and Malik at the same time eventually. But you got to like Siegel. I think he's very impressive, man. Didn't he led the 49ers last week in tackles, I believe. So there's a lot of great things to look forward to when it comes to Marquise Siegel. But I think this year I'm going to sound like a broken record because I'm just going to be encouraging us to give these guys some time as rookies. You can't really write them off for some of these mistakes. It's just a learning process. They're learning on the fly. We're learning on the field. A lot of us been dying for Kyle Shanahan to play more rookies, and he is. But this is what happens when you have them. But I definitely think he looks like he could be a guy, man. He just has to keep learning on the fly.
I think Saleh is looking for his next Jimmy Ward. When his defense was really good in 2019, Ward was crucial because on 3rd down, you could put a man-to-man on the tight end, play single high with Jaquiski Tart, bring a 5th rusher. You could do all kind of stuff. And having that guy who could shut down, I mean, he was the best guy at covering tight ends in the league at that point because he had the skill set. He could actually play corner, and he played nickel, and he could play all. So he was incredible at that. I don't know that Siegel is necessarily Jimmy Ward or can fill that role. When he was going up against Juwan Johnson, it just felt like he's a little small. He didn't quite have the length to challenge the ball at the catch point. Maybe he'll get there in a few weeks, but I wonder if the best way to use him is more like free safety than in man-to-man coverage on the tight end. I guess they'll figure that out, but it's a work in progress.
The closest to Jimmy Ward on this team to me, and it's not very close, but the closest would be Jason Pinnock, I think.
I agree. Yeah, because that's the guy who actually did play corner. All right, here's the big question of the day. Are the 49ers contenders? They're 2-0. They, found ways to win at the end. Seahawks are tough. Winning 2 games on the road is never easy. Every time Kyle Shanahan started the season 2-0 as a Niners head coach, he's gone to the NFC Championship game at least. I think I expected 10-7 this year. I don't know if you expected 10-7 this year. Are you reconsidering how good you think the Niners are?
No, so before the year coming into this year, I thought the 49ers would go, win 10, 11 games, maybe more if everyone can stay healthy. I thought they would get to the playoffs. I thought they would probably win a game or two in the playoffs, and then I thought they would probably not make it to the Super Bowl. And I don't really my opinion really doesn't change on that. Of course, I would love to be surprised. I'd love to be wrong. If Brandon Ayuk can come back and contribute, Malik Mustafa, Brock Purdy gets healthy, Trent stays healthy, Kittle gets healthy, and they go on a run, anything is possible. They have the talent there. It's just, to me, with all of these rookies, it's hard to count on them to make you legitimate Super Bowl winning contenders. I think they're going to get close to the NFC Championship game, but like teams like the Packers look more complete than the 49ers do at this moment. But again, it's a long season. It's week 2. Anything can change, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at what the Niners did, the positive is that the games were close. They came from behind in the first one. Their defense sealed the victory. Robert Saleh's defense looks ahead of schedule. They're winning games while they're injured. They're going to get better as the season goes along. Theoretically, when like Demarcus Robinson and Brandon Ayuk come back, their schedule still is weak. But I guess the other way to look at it is, they squeaked by the Saints. Saints aren't good. Saints aren't going anywhere. Spencer Rattler was cool. I like Spencer Rattler, but he's never won a game in his career. So that team has a ways to go. The Seahawks have a good defense, but the Niners are better than the Seahawks. Yeah. So the way I look at it is they've beaten 2 teams that they frankly should have beaten. Yeah. We talked about this schedule being pretty weak. It is. So they're 2-0. We all thought they'd be 2-0 at this point. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that they'll be able to win a playoff game against the Rams or the Packers or the Eagles or the Commanders, or there's a bunch of teams in the NFC that are on paper more talented than the 49ers.
Seahawks in Seattle is a tough team. That wasn't, for me, that wasn't a give me. I didn't know. I like going to Seattle and playing a Seahawks team. They're good enough to, in their house, to be able to pull it off. And they almost did. Really, if it wasn't for Jake Tonjes making an incredible catch, they probably do lose that game. So far, they're kind of on track. When it comes to the Saints, man, the Saints are the bottom 5 team in the NFL. Yeah. So they should absolutely beat them. I don't care who your quarterback is. They should beat the Saints with Adrian Martinez. That's probably a little bit of an exaggeration, but I fully expected them to beat the Saints. They're awful. So I don't think beating the Seahawks in their house, even though that was a good win, and then beating the Saints is necessarily like, oh, the season now looks completely different than we anticipated. No, I thought they were going to get in the playoffs based on their schedule. The question is, when they get to the playoffs and they play these really, really good teams, are they one of them? Can they compete? Can they beat them? And they potentially could. If they get healthy and they get hot and they get in a rhythm at the right time, they might be better than the Packers come week 17. But right now, the teams like the Packers look a lot better than the Niners. So they look just more complete, more ready. But anything can happen within the course of the season. And it doesn't matter who's looking like the top team in the NFC at this moment. It matters when the playoffs come.
Now, it is encouraging that we realize the Niners have 2 quarterbacks now, because now they're not necessarily at the mercy of Brock Purdy's durability, which is clearly in question at this point. When Brock plays, they can win. And when Mac plays, they can win. That's good news. Their defense, like, to me, the defensive line is a big question mark, and it wasn't really making plays for the majority of the game. I mean, Kamara was getting a lot of yards. Spencer Rattler was carving up the defense. But then when the game was on the line, they handled business 2 weeks in a row. So it's a very interesting team.
Yeah, man. I like this season because it's a lot of unknowns, a lot of young dudes. And, at the end of the season, we could be like, man, this team has a ton of potential for the future based on how young they are. When you look at all the defensive rookies, they all look good, man. They all look like they have some type of potential. They look like they really nailed this draft. Obviously, it's too early to really determine that, but you got to be encouraged by what you see. Now, the offensive rookies are most of them are TBD, but at least on the defensive side, it looks like they might have drafted some guys that could, play for the 49ers for years to come.
I'm still skeptical that Brandon Ayuk's gonna make much of an impact this year. His knee injury was huge. He had no offseason. We've seen a lot of players sort of struggle in their first year back from an ACL injury and then take off and regain their pre-injury form in year 2.
Yeah.
That could be him. That's sort of what I expect, although you never know. He's an incredible athlete. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like you're getting Demarcus Robinson in 2 weeks, and between Robinson and Pearsall and Jennings and Kittle and McCaffrey, that's pretty good. And if Connor Colby can sort of stabilize the offensive line and this defense can grow up quicker than we expect,
Yeah.
again, I don't know if they're a contender, but it's a team that should go to the playoffs, could win a wild card playoff game. It'd be interesting
Yeah.
to see, though. Like, this could be what was interesting about the Jimmy Garoppolo era. 2019, number 1 seed, home playoff games, they roll. But then in 2021, they were 10-7. They started off slow. They won a playoff game in Dallas. They won a playoff game in freaking Lambeau. Brock hasn't done anything like that yet. So it'll be interesting to see. This could be a different test for the Niners if they have to actually win some playoff games on the road against teams that, again, are more talented than them on paper. In 2023, there was no team more talented than them on paper.
Yeah, so just talking about some of the things you said, Robinson is a good player. I agree with Brandon Ayuk. It's no telling what he's going to look like necessarily. I think most of those guys coming back from that injury don't really feel like themselves until a year after they're playing, right? It takes a year to get back into playing. So we'll see. But that wide receiver unit is very strong. It's one of the strongest, I think, that they've had in a long time, very deep. And then because I love my what's his name? Kendrick Bourne. I love him. I've always loved him. And what else is great about Kendrick Bourne? Not that he's like some elite wide receiver, but his energy. He's a great energy guy, man. He's a great culture guy. So it's good that they have him. But one thing I wanted to bring up when talking about the 49ers and this year, another position group that I think may be the best that they've had in a very long time is that tight end group. George Kittle was out in this last game, and you really didn't notice. Not that I'm turning my nose up at George Kittle. He's fantastic. And if he was there, they would have been much better off. But Jake Tonges and Luke Farrell, to me, with George Kittle, that makes the best tight end room they've had in a long time. Farrell got a touchdown in this game. Tonges made a game-winning touchdown. Like, he made that play. Like, Brock threw it there, but 14.8% chance of completing that pass, and it was all Jake Tonges that made it work. So Farrell is really good at blocking. Tonges was blocking for Farrell on that touchdown. This looks like a really solid tight end room behind George Kittle. That's another reason to think that they could maybe make a run this year.
Also, you mentioned something that I wanted to talk about. I like the energy is kind of a intangible thing to talk about, but it's real. And I feel like last year the energy was awful. You had the Super Bowl hangover and the Brandon Ayuk holdout, and there was all this bitter feelings. And then you had like the people who were like on the team but not on the team, like Devondre Campbell, who we call what's his face.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you had Nick Sorensen as the defensive coordinator. The defense felt lifeless. The offense choked every time. It was a close game, just like in the playoffs. It felt like a team that didn't really like being together. Now, the defense seems reinvigorated with Robert Saleh and all these young guys. The offense seems to be having a lot of fun with Kendrick Bourne and Mac Jones and Christian McCaffrey back. And I don't know. It seems like a much more cohesive team.
There's another one that's big. I know Eddie Pinero missed his extra point. I'm gonna say that, hey, that's first game back.
No more
I'll write that one
no more
off. But he made us 2 field goals. No Debo, but Jake Moody's energy. That Jake Moody energy is gone. That whole like anxiety and everyone on pins and needles, like, is he gonna make it? Is he not gonna make it? And his almost like a depressed, negative, moody energy, right? Is
Correct.
gone. And Eddie Pinero has great energy. So hopefully he continues to make his kicks and we don't miss extra points. But the field goals were nice. That's another rejuvenated part of this team, energy wise, that it helps for long term success.
Also with Debo, it felt like we got the Niners got the worst of Debo last year because he knew he was on the way out. He knew that he wasn't going to be a 49er much longer. So I think he was like not really bought in with the team. He was clearly about himself and his stats, which is, natural in that situation for any wide receiver in his position. But he's gone now. And now he can go play hard for Washington. He's doing that. And the Niners don't have to worry about appeasing him. They can spread the ball around. And the person who's in his situation this year, who's probably not going to be back next year, is Juwan Jennings. And I just want to give him credit, at least so far. He's been exactly the same as he's always been, playing hard, doing good stuff for the 49ers, not being a problem. So that's good. He was key in this game.
Attitude-wise, Juwan Jennings great. I do think he looked good in this last game, but he didn't look as good as I've seen him, honestly. He dropped a couple passes that I think he normally would have caught had he had a training camp. He probably would have caught those things. So he's another guy that I expect.
Because he didn't have much time with Mac Jones. He really hasn't had much time with Mac Jones.
Correct. Yep. And Mac Jones put a couple hot ones right on his hands, and he dropped them. So that's not typical for Juwan Jennings. Third and Juwan, he dropped a third down opportunity in this last game. He did have that big touchdown. But I don't think we're seeing Juwan Jennings at 100% right now either. I think he's nursing an injury, and I think he missed a ton of work in training camp. So this 49ers wide receiver room is going to improve greatly as you start getting guys off suspension, guys back healthy, guys that have had time to develop and get into football shape like Juwan Jennings. Maybe if they can work Watkins into the mix. But that is encouraging for this season, man, because this wide receiver group is going to get better as the season goes on. And that's something to be happy about.
You know, and real quick, of time on task with Mac Jones in practice this offseason? Jordan Watkins. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Can I real quick,
you know who caught that deep ball from Mac Jones in the preseason? Jordan Watkins. Kyle, here's my suggestion, Kyle, if you're watching. Do not play Jordan Watkins. He's not ready. He's going to make you look bad. Whatever you do, keep playing washed vets over that extremely explosive wide receiver because he's absolutely not ready. Don't do it. Okay.
Real quick. Ricky Pearsall had a sneaky good game yesterday. I know he only got 4 passes. Player. He's a really good player. He made every catch that came his way. Ricky's a good player. I think Ricky's a solid wide receiver too on this team. And so this wide receiver room looked like it was going to be a problem coming into the season. And maybe with all these injuries and contract situations, that actually is going to benefit them in the long run because they had to find alternatives. But I think this wide receiver room is going to be really good and deep as the season goes on. And Ricky Pearsall is going to be a big part of that.
I think he's essentially the replacement for Brandon Ayuk in the offense while Ayuk's out because the other receivers are more like short to intermediate receivers, McCaffrey, Kittle, Jennings, and they're all so good. And Brock is so good at finding them quickly in stride that defenses really have to focus all their attention on that area of the field. And if you forget about Ricky Pearsall's 30-yard catch, and we saw that a lot with Brandon Ayuk in 2023. People were so freaked out about everyone else that really they didn't understand that Brandon Ayuk was the X factor in the whole offense, and he was the guy who was going to beat you the quickest. That could be Ricky this year, although he hasn't scored a touchdown yet.
No, but he's very smooth out there, man. It's funny. He gets open. He's faster than he looks. He doesn't really look fast to me. When I'm watching him, he doesn't look fast, but he is really fast, has some explosiveness to him. He's very smooth with his route running. He just kind of slithers through everything, gets open. So I think like if Brandon Ayuk can get back, get healthy, and then you got Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings, and then what's his name comes off suspension. I don't know why. I can't remember. Demarcus Robinson comes off suspension. Then they still got Jordan Watkins back there. They got Kendrick Bourne. I mean, this is a really pretty damn good wide receiver room. So it's part of the formula for success.
One of the things I like about Ricky, like he's replacing Debo. He's just such a better wide receiver than Debo. He's not necessarily a better player than Debo, but I think of Debo as more of like a running back. Like his plays are an extension of the running game. end arounds and screens and things where he doesn't really have to run a route to get open. And I think we've seen the Niners running game has been a little bit of a struggle the last couple of weeks. I wonder if that's partially because teams don't have to worry about Debo and McCaffrey anymore. It's just McCaffrey. But as a receiver, I mean, the speed, the route running, the shorthandedness, Debo was dropping a lot of passes, and this guy doesn't have the longest arm. He's not going to be making these physical contested catches, but he'll catch the ball if he's open and it's on him, which is good.
Yeah, man. I mean, Debo's a cannonball, man, but you got to get him the ball. You kind of got to figure out ways to get him the ball. And then once he gets the ball, he's dangerous. What I like is that the 49ers have moved on from players that might end up being really good. Should we keep them? No, because they're not right for this team right now. Debo was one of those guys. He just needed a fresh start. Jake Moody's one of those guys, just needed a fresh start. Jake Moody might end up being fantastic down the line for some other team. And the 49ers, if they wanted, could have waited and struggled through that whole mess to bring that out of them. And I'm glad they didn't. And same with Debo, man. Like, Debo's having a pretty damn good year so far with the Commanders. But I just think it was time to move on from the 49ers. And I'm not sure Debo would have been as good on the 49ers this year as he is on the Commanders. I think it was addition by subtraction with him, particularly as a wide receiver. His hands aren't very good, for being real here. So I think it is an upgrade, especially once all these guys get healthy.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the offense looks like when that happens. All right, let's get some prize picks on the screen. Show is, of course, sponsored by PrizePicks, and they got a free NFL 2-play Monday. Let's play it now. It's 4 picks they serve up for you. So we got Nico Collins, Houston against Tampa Bay tonight. Big game. The classic Houston-Tampa Bay rivalry. Nico Collins, how do you feel he's going to do yardage-wise? 44 or less, 45 to 69. This is receiving yards, 70 to 98 or 99 plus for Nico.
Tampa Bay has a good defense, man. I would probably, and I don't know, man. CJ Stroud is a guy that I thought was going to be fantastic. He still might bounce back, but they've been struggling, man. I would put him at the 45 to 69 range for Nico.
It seems like their offense, it's all been a struggle for them.
Yeah.
For a while. Okay, Baker Mayfield's in this game. He's been lighting it up for the last couple of years. How many yards do you think he's going to be? 212 or less, 213 to 242, 243 to 276, or 277 plus?
I'm going to say 243 to 276. I like Baker. It's Monday night. I think he'll do a good job. I do like this Texans defense, though, so I'll keep him a little bit restrained, not 277 plus, just under that.
Would you consider Baker Mayfield a top 10 quarterback?
He's right there on the border for me. I think when I laid it out, he was like 9, 10, 11 in that range. So, yeah, he's right there. Yeah, I like Baker a lot, man.
He's really good. I think he's not a scheme quarterback. I think he can be successful in a lot of different schemes. Who's a better quarterback in your opinion? Baker or Jalen Hurts?
Damn. That's tough, man.
It's tough.
It's hard to say that Jalen's
they're kind of
not
close in the ranking.
It's hard to say he's not because he won the Super Bowl. So it's like, I know it's a team sport. He had a way better roster, but man, if you put Baker Mayfield on that Eagles team, they might be even better.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Yeah. I don't know. I like Baker a lot.
Oklahoma. Baker was anyway.
But I like Baker. Baker's a good runner too, good scrambler, but not on Jalen's level. So Jalen definitely has that above him. But Baker is one of the best. I don't know. That's tough.
Did you say 243 to 276?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. We got 2 more. Justin Herbert. Oh, there's 2 games tonight? Nice. He's playing the Raiders. And I can name 3 players in their defense. Max Crosby, Jamal Adams.
Are they really playing 2 games at the same time, or is it one after the other? Because that sucks if it's at the same time. I hate when they do that.
Probably one after the other.
All right.
220 or less, 221 to 250, 251 to 284, or 285 plus. They came out gunning the ball last week in week 1 against Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, Herbert looks like
Allen looked pretty good.
I'm going to give Herbert. The only reason why I'm going to not give him 285 plus is because he's on Greg Roman's offense. They love to run the ball. I'll say 2. And you know what? I feel like they're gonna beat the hell out of the Vegas. I could be wrong,
Hmm.
but I would say that I want to say 221, 250 for Justin Herbert.
Okay. It's going to be a Harbaugh Pete Carroll matchup. It's always going to be fun.
Yeah.
You said 221 to 250?
Yeah. That's my
Okay.
guess.
All right, last one. How many rushing yards for Ashton Genty against the Chargers? 51 or fewer, 52 to 69, 70 to 92, or 93 plus?
I think he's gonna break out, man. I think this dude is a star in the making, and just he's gonna break out. I'm giving him 93 plus. Ashton Genty.
I like those picks. Submitting the answers. Download PrizePicks yourself. It's available in 45 states, including California and Texas. Play $5, get $50 in lineups instantly using promo code COHN. All right, before we get out of here, I want to point out a couple of let's talk about the defense for a second, and then we'll bounce. And then we'll mention about the four-man front. But as well as Mac Jones played and Brock the week before, and the heroics that they've got from Jake Tonjes and Jawan Jennings, I think there's two clear heroes from the first 2 weeks, like MVPs from the first 2 weeks. I think it would be Robert Saleh and Fred Warner. Would you agree?
100%. I think Fred Warner and Robert Saleh are the two main reasons the 49ers are winning over everything else. If you could pick two reasons why the 49ers are winning so far, it's to me Robert Saleh and Fred Warner. The turnover by Fred Warner that he picked up the other day in that game yesterday, the play calling by Robert Saleh. You're talking about all the different things he's doing, 5-man fronts. He's using, safeties instead of linebackers. He's creating pressures for guys. Robert Saleh and his energy and his play calling. I mean, if they had Nick Sorensen running this defense right now, it would look completely different. It would look awful. So I think Robert Saleh deserves credit for the what he's doing out there, and Fred Warner is an extension of him on the field. His leadership, his playmaking ability, his tackling, he's everywhere. He's creating turnovers. Fred Warner, to me, Robert Saleh, those are the guys that I would give the most credit to for the wins in these first two games.
And you always think of like play caller quarterback duos.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle and Brock, or Joe Montana and Bill Walsh, or Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, we all know those and we're aware of them. But people don't really talk about the same on defense with the defensive play caller and the middle linebacker. And I feel like these two guys get the best out of each other, and they might be the best defensive coordinator, middle linebacker, play caller combo in the NFL on defense. I don't know who else I would give it to. And I
Yeah.
feel like Fred Warner really is Robert Saleh on the field mentally.
Yeah, Fred Warner against the Saints had 11 tackles, one pass broken up, one tackle for loss, one forced fumble, a 95.1 PFF grade, and a 93.4 coverage grade. I mean, he's making love Patrick Willis. He's making
Yep.
an argument to be the best linebacker in 49ers history.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree. He's
Yeah.
that good. So I just want to we get on here. We want to talk about the quarterbacks and the rookies, and Fred's kind of boring in the sense that he's been here a while and he's consistent. Like, what do we talk about Fred this week? Guess what? He's still good. But it's worth acknowledging that he's still not just good, but I think he's the best player in the team.
You know what? This is a good moment for me to just ask Fred Warner. Look, I've always supported Fred Warner. I've always said great things about Fred Warner. He's always one of my favorite players. One game, he had a bad game. I think it was last year or the year before. And I said, Fred Warner really let me down. And he blocked me. Fred, if you're watching this, please unblock me, man. I've been nothing but supportive of you. You're one of the best players on the team. Like, I've had a few 49ers block me, but this one, like, actually bugs me. Like, unblock me, Fred.
Well, the thing is, Fred blocked me at one point and then unblocked me. So there is precedent for Fred blocking and unblocking a content creator. And Fred, I'm sure you blocked him by mistake. I
Yeah.
bet you were perusing his channel and you just kind of like,
He even followed
missed
me
it
once.
with your finger.
He followed me for like 5 minutes last year and then unfollowed
And then
me.
blocked you.
It was an accident. And then like a few games later, he blocked me. So Fred, you did disappoint me that one game. That was the honest truth. But that doesn't mean you need to block me, dude. Come on, man.
Okay, one more thing, and then as far as what Robert Saleh's doing here, he had an interesting conundrum. What do you do with Jair Brown? Jair Brown was really not good last year, and then in the offseason at in training camp, in preseason, playing safety, he continued to struggle. He's just bigger and slower than the other safeties that Salah's brought in. So in this game, he had him playing kind of like you could say linebacker, or you could call him the slot, the nickel. I mean, instead of ever using a third linebacker, they never use Luke Gifford in this game. They use mostly Upton Stout and sometimes 7 snaps of Jair Brown essentially as the linebacker covering in the slot. And I think it's kind of an interesting way to use him because to me, he looks more like a linebacker anyway. And it reminds me of when Robert Saleh moved Eric Reed to linebacker. Eric Reed freaking hated it and didn't buy in. Seems like Jair Brown is buying in.
Yeah, man, that's what I mean. This is more to me. This is more about Robert Saleh than it is Jair. Really good coaches, great coaches, find a way to use the strengths and talents of the players they have, and they adjust to the players, as opposed to system coaches that if you don't fit the system, if you can't do what I need you to do in this particular role, you don't play. And that's this is a credit to Robert Saleh. He's looking at Jair Brown. He's like, we got a guy. He's got some kind of talent. Let's utilize his strengths to the best that we can. Let's adjust the defense for him instead of trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. So this is a credit to Robert Saleh, and maybe Jair will find a role this way.
And I think the idea is you're going to be facing teams that have 2 tight ends. There's a lot of 2 tight end teams now. And what they do is they'll take one of the tight ends and kind of put him in the slot. He's not really a tight end, he's a big slot receiver. And so how do you match up with that guy? Next week it'll be Trey McBride. They have 2 tight ends. The other guy will be in line. Trey McBride will be moving around in the slot. Do you put Luke Gifford on Trey McBride? Hell fucking no. Do you put 5'8" Upton Stout on Trey McBride? Hell fucking no. What you do is you put someone like Jair Brown on him, who's a little bit bigger than Upton Stout and a little bit faster than Luke Gifford. I mean, I'm not saying Jair Brown's going to shut him down, but it's clever. It's the right matchup. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's the best use of Jair Brown. I don't know if Jair Brown is ever going to meet the hype that he had coming off of his rookie season. I don't know if he's ever going to get back to that level, but we've seen players do it, so it's entirely possible. But if he's going to do it, you have to put him in a role that he's built for. And so I think Robert Saleh is doing a great job with that. So we'll see what happens with Brown.
All right, let's hit some super chats. Giovanni Miller says, what's the difference from week to last year to now? From week to last year to now. Also, do you think Purdy will play good? Angel Burrow out 3 months. What's your take? Okay, let's try to figure out what he's talking about. What's the difference from week?
I'm gonna say 17, week 17 to last year, from last year to now. That's what I think he's saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot. The team seems to like playing with each other. Salah's back.
The vibes, man. It's the vibes.
It's mostly a vibe situation. It's a vibey team all of a sudden. It was last year, I felt like it was more of an Instagram-y team. Like they were just in it for the clout. Now, you got to feel it. You got to be there. I feel like if you've never been to New Orleans, the way to describe it is it's very vibey.
Yeah.
Like it's got culture, it's got food, it's got stuff that doesn't necessarily pop on Instagram. Like Vegas is Instagram-y. Oh, let me take this picture next to this thing that looks like the Eiffel Tower, but it's not. Yeah. And the vibes are kind of like it still feels like Walmart. Everyone walking around.
Right.
Yeah.
So last year the Niners were Vegas. This year they're New Orleans.
They're New Orleans. That's right. That's what I was trying to say. Dazza says drop off between Mac and Brock isn't enough for the start contract difference. Niners should have traded Brock, invested the money and picks into the offensive line, and continue to draft quarterback. Or they could have had both and just not paid Brock yet. And I know it's like you can't upset your quarterback and you can't do business like that. I guess. I don't know. There was no rule that said they had to pay him as soon as possible, but they did.
I think when you look at the accumulation of Brock Purdy and what he's going to be able to do and what they're going to pay him in total, and when they have outs for Brock Purdy, it doesn't really bother me. His contract doesn't bother me. I think he's a serviceable quarterback. He's not the highest paid quarterback in the league. That would bother me. He gets paid about what he's worth, I think. So, yes, they could have saved some money, but I don't know. The Brock Purdy contract doesn't upset me, really.
Okay. Michael Mock says San Quinn or your boy.
San Quinn or your boy? Who's your boy?
What song did your boy do?
Your boy is a rapper? I don't even know who that
Yeah,
is. I don't
he's
even
from the
know who that
Bay.
is. I'm too old, brother. I don't know. Is it a new guy? Your boy
He's
is a
no,
new guy?
he's born 84. William Joseph Crawford, known as his stage name, your boy. Also, Rich Rocka is an American rapper from Fillmore District, California. Best known for his single "Lockdown" with DJ Drama and Akon. The year prior, he
I'm
signed with the latter's record label,
surprised.
Convict Music, having signed with San Quinn's Done Deal Entertainment to release his debut album, Rookie of the Year 2005. What was his number one single, though? I don't really.
You know what? I gotta go San Quinn because I never heard. Believe it or not, I feel like an old dude, but I don't know who your boy is.
Yeah, but did San Quinn snitch?
I don't
That's
know
what
about that. I'm not gonna make any allegations against San Quinn.
Messy Marv seemed to indicate that San Quinn was snitching, and that's what Messy Marv says. If you're ever on the phone with San Quinn, what should you do? What you talk about? Baseball.
You
Keep
know
it
what?
baseball.
You know what we used to say in the '90s, early
What?
'90s? My name is Bennett, and I ain't in it.
Did you ever see oh man, what's the dude in the original Kings of Comedy who goes last?
Who you talking about? Bernie Mac?
Bernie Mac. His thing from Def Comedy Jam on snitching, how he'd be the first dude to snitch. Did you ever see that?
Yeah, I
It's like a
think I
4-minute
remember that.
clip on why
Yeah.
he's pro snitching is terrific. Gregorius Greg, member for 45 months. Thank you, Gregorius. Jeremy Germ says, pooped my pants yesterday, but Niners won, so I'm happy. That's definitely, what
Hey,
a
man.
story. What a
I'd
story.
rather
Michael Mox says, what is your quintessential Bay Area rap anthem?
Quintessential
I Got
Bay
Five
Area
on it
rap album.
remix.
To me, it's got to be something. I don't know. Too Short, Blow the
I mean, Blow the
Whistle.
Whistle has been an anthem forever.
It's got Mac
Burn Rubber
Dre.
has been an
Like
anthem forever.
the thing about Mac Dre songs is all the ones that are like popular. Those weren't
I
even
don't
my
like the
songs.
Fizzle Dance, but Feeling
Yeah,
Myself is an anthem.
yeah. I think Tell Me When to Go is probably the anthem, but it's not like the one you listen to all the time. I think Tell Me
Yeah,
When
if
to
you had to
Go.
pick an E40 song, I'm much more partial to like anything
Du-
else.
Dusted and Disgusted. Is
Dusted
a
and Disgusted,
absolute banger with Tupac. Like
Sprinkle
that.
Me.
Yeah. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, there are. Good question, Michael. Luis Lara says, if we do good all year, are we going to be called pretenders again?
If
I
we do
think I
good
just
all
did call
year.
you a pretender.
I think they, as of right now, I would expect them to go far into the playoffs but get beat by a better team. But that's right now. Anything can change later on in the season.
People are suggesting Bay Area anthems. Garcia Vegas. Garcia Vegas is a great song. Everybody liked your Vega. Everybody liked your Vega.
I got 5 on it. Bay Area anthem.
Yeah. What about Back to the Hotel?
Players Holiday.
Players Holiday. Who made
Yeah.
Back to the Hotel again? It was that
In
white.
Too Deep. In Too Deep
Into
from Vallejo.
Deep.
Yeah. One
Good
of them
song.
passed away, unfortunately, in a motorcycle accident. But
Oh,
yeah,
they
man.
played it at Orange Theater the other day. I'm like, really? Back to
Well,
the
I grew up.
Hotel? Wow.
Can
Or
I
Mac
don't think
Mall, my opinion.
I don't think Vallejo is. I don't think people realize the amount of talent that comes out of that small. I mean, relatively small city. It's like 150,000 people. I
Yep.
grew up in Benicia and Vallejo, and like the amount of talent that comes out of Vallejo is ridiculous. It's a very, very talented place.
Yeah. Been that way for a while.
Yeah.
What else we got? Will Fry says Seahawks wrecked the Steelers on the road, holding them to 260 yards. Also, Cup had 90 yards and Walker went off. You still think the Seahawks are bad and week 1 was an impressive win? I think the Steelers are bad.
I think
And
I think going to Seattle is and winning there with this team is good. You know, I was undecided about that one, but it was week 1. I didn't know what to expect. I think the Saints win was a no-brainer, you know.
I mean, the Niners scored 17 points against the Seahawks in Seattle. They scored 17 points against the Seahawks at home last year. The Steelers scored 17 points against Seattle. The Niners defense definitely did a really good job. I still think Cooper Kupp is freaking washed, Will. Absolutely do. I couldn't believe that he had 90 yards. But, I mean, they're going to keep throwing to him, and I guess if you don't cover him at all, he'll catch the ball. But all you have to do to stop Cooper Kupp is what you have to do to stop Deebo Samuel. It's called cover him. Put a man on
I
him.
mean, it took a miracle though to win that game. Like, so it wasn't easy, that's for sure. And it's week
It's
one,
true. They
but
have a hell of a defense.
yeah, I thought they were going to split with the Seahawks, probably lose week one and beat them at home at the end of the year. But the fact that they won week one is encouraging for. I think they're going to smack them. I think they're going to go 2-0 against the Seahawks now.
Feelings on Del the Funky Homo Sapien, hieroglyphics.
Good. Yeah. Another one is good. 93 Till. That's another.
That's an anthem for sure. I don't need to hear that song ever again though. I've heard that song probably 1,000 times in my life.
Yeah.
John says, if Niners trade for Hill, would you trust Mac throwing him the deep ball more or Brock?
I don't want Hill.
Oh.
I think we just talked about vibes. I think Hill would ruin the vibes.
I think that's a very mature answer, and I agree. B. White says, I prefer man-to-man for Green and Lenore instead of zone. What do y'all think? Seems likely they get better at attacking. I'm a little nervous about Green in any coverage.
Green got shook in the last game quite a bit. I mean, it's hard though. I feel like cornerbacks get the most unfair criticism, right? Like fans expect perfection from cornerbacks or they suck. And that's just not realistic, man. Corner is the hardest position to play, I think, outside of quarterback in the NFL.
All right, it's hour and 15, Ryan. I appreciate you giving me so much time on this on this Monday. Thanks for watching, everyone. Then Kyle has a conference call at 3:30 Pacific. I'm sure 8 new people will be injured, and we'll talk about it. We'll see. I might be streaming later today. I got to discuss with some people. Sup, Grant? Mac next Brady? Resemble him? Thoughts? Yes, that's my next take. Is that Mac Jones is the next greatest quarterback of all time?
Real quick, Wednesdays at 5 p.m. we do the 4-man front, but it's only on Patreon. So make sure to go to Patreon and type in 4-man front. You do have to subscribe. It's like $1.49 an episode, $5.99 a month. But that's the only 49ers talk I do. I do it here with Grant on Mondays, and then I do 4-man front. That's the only 49ers talk I do. But we have a great time when it's the 4-man front, all of us together. But it's on Patreon. Type in 4-man front.
I thought it was Patreon this whole time.
It might be. I have no idea.
No, I think Patreon sounds makes more sense because you're paying. That makes sense. Anyway, thanks for once again watching. Got that. And be safe out there in these streets.